Hey guys, it's Brooke from Joplin, and real quick, we're gonna talk about the Titanic using my map again. So, the Titanic was built in 1912 in Belfast, Ireland, and 3,000 men and women worked on it for about 3 years until it became the Titanic that we know today. It ended up being 882 feet long, and it weighed over 52,000 tons. Okay? At the time, it was the largest ship in the world, and it was also got its nickname as the Unsinkable. We all know that was incorrect, but we'll get to that part. Okay, so a fun fact about the actual Titanic is it had the 4 smokestacks. In case we'll get this closer, I don't know if it will focus on it, but this 4th one actually didn't work. It was just there to make it look prettier. So they wasted a lot of money. That's basically it. Okay, and then the voyage actually started on April 10th of 1912. It was in England, and then from England it went over to France, which is somewhere over here, and then it went back to Ireland. It actually stopped in Queenstown, Ireland, which I think is on like this side, and then that's whenever it started to make its trip over to New York of the United States of America. Whenever it picked up its last passengers, it had a total of 2,208 people on board, and it had animals on it too, which range anywhere from like 45 to 128-ish. People brought along their pets. So there were a lot of dogs, there were some cats, there were a lot of chickens, and there was also evidence of there being one yellow canary, which is a songbird. All right, so they left Ireland on April 11th, and they spent 3 wonderful days at sea. Okay, so we have 3 great days. Woohoo! They're partying it up, living in luxury because it was the best ship. And then they got to somewhere around here. So on the 14th at exactly 9:40 p.m., they got the last notice that there could be icebergs in their way. So that was the last of 7. So at this point, they've already gotten 7 warnings to watch out for this. The iceberg was spotted by some of the deckhands. They had 37 seconds until they hit the iceberg. From seeing it to hit it, there was only 37 seconds. Within those 37 seconds, they had already tried to do a hard turn with the boat, but it was just too big to turn in time. So they scraped across it, across the right side. That's my iceberg. So it scraped along the right side, also at 11:40. You would think that they would start getting really worried at 11:40, but no. It was on April 15th at 12 a.m. is whenever the captain issued their very first SOS call, their first warning call for others to come and help them. They waited about 20 minutes to send that call. After that, at 12:05, the lifeboats were prepared, and the women and children all started to get on first because their lives were valued the most. Now, a fact about the lifeboats, there were only about 20, and some of them were not in the best conditions, which later on ended up in more fatalities. So out of the 2,208 people on the boat, only about maybe half of them could fit in the lifeboats. So at 2:05 a.m., the last lifeboat was lowered in the water. 13 minutes later, the Titanic turns, and it's floating, it's bobbing up in the water now at about a 45-degree angle like this with the stern up. It lasts for about 2 minutes before it breaks in half, and it starts sinking to the bottom. Okay. Now, remember earlier how I said there were only about 20 lifeboats and only some of them worked, and it could only hold about maybe half the crew and the passengers? Well, that ended up showing up. So on this day of April 14th and the early morning of April 15th of 1912, 1,515 passengers lost their lives. So that means the survival rate of the Titanic was only at 32%, with only 706 surviving it. Out of the animal, only 3 dogs survived. Now, this was a very tragic incident that has happened in our history, but some good things have also come from it. So from the Titanic, the Congress got together along with other law people in different countries, and they decided to create new lifeboat and ship regulations so that nothing like this can ever happen again to this extreme. And they also made new regulations on how many life jackets there were and their procedures on it. Now, the survivors got on the Carpathia, which was another ship that was about 57 miles away from the Titanic whenever it sank, and they got there within an hour, and they were the ones who started picking up the survivors and taking them to New York, which was their final destination on the Titanic. The Titanic was lost at sea for about 73 years until September 1st in 1985, whenever a explorer team discovered it at the bottom of the ocean at that. And then ever since then, we've been collecting different antiques and actual paperwork that have been on the ocean floor this entire time. And in case you're wondering, the two ship halves were actually found about 2 miles away from each other. And so that is all I have for you on this educational video of the Titanic and its fateful journey. Bye guys, I hope you learned something and liked it.